Let's get it in.
Good afternoon on this stormy and beautiful sun out, guns out, clouds are out, lightning out, Thor out, everybody out. It's a beautiful afternoon. Welcome to Let the Madness Begin. William Cohen, Sean Taylor. How's everything going, man?
Man, all right. It's been a long day. It's been hot, been raining. So I've been sweating and everything. So yeah, I'm ready to call it a day. Until I get this little recording. Get this wonderful recording in today.
Understand, man. So, it's a lot going on in this world, but we're going to shift focus from that. We want to talk about some more personal, I guess, inter monologues that you should have with yourself. And I threw some topics at you.
Okay.
One of them is you are the SME of your life.
Very true. I like that one.
And the other one is, having the right people in your life.
Also correct.
Let's start with SME.
Yeah, like I said, yeah. Because like I said, I think both services go hand in hand. So I like it. Let's go with it.
All right. So SME, for those that don't know, is subject matter expert. So that's a term that we use in the military for people who are just it in a certain craft, like
myself. Yeah, like myself.
Okay, I guess.
How they say, let's go.
So there are people who, if you have an issue, you go to them because they know it front and back without thinking about it. They don't even have to look at any manuals or any regulations. They just know it offhand. And so when it comes to your life, shouldn't you be that person?
Yeah. I don't care who you are. Well, like I said, everybody you should be, you should. Yeah, come on, put it this way. Only you know what's going on in your life or what went on in your life. That's the only thing. Like, unless you're Truman from the Truman Show, the movie, which was a crazy movie in itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you basically, because even if you can say you need we call these movies now not biopics. These biopics, are done. You probably didn't get everything down to the detail about everybody from Ray to Charles, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. You only know what's been put out there in a sense,
right.
Probably. And it's like I said, it's pieces of what people know of you to put together this picture, these films, these books about you, stories as well. So you are the SME of your life, and it's like, so in other words, you write your own story, and I totally like that concept. I never thought about applying that term, subject matter expert, because in other words, everybody's a subject matter expert in something, and it should be yourself. You should know more than your mom and dad what goes on in your life, what's going on with you, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, chemically, however you want to go about your form, binary, non-binary, he, she, them, us, they, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I agree.
The question is, and this may sound off the wall, do you believe people are subject matter experts of their lives? In other words, do you believe, okay, what makes you feel like what's missing? Because a lot of times we see people go with, I'll steal our homeboy Kwame to go along, get along. You see a lot of people doing that. You see a lot of people who end up mirroring what's around them or who always ask for advice from other people. Do you feel as though that they lack that type of confidence in their abilities to actually right their own ship?
True, yes. And that goes back, like you said, Kwame is true, but go along, get along thing, that applies to everybody. Not everybody does it. It's just, you know somebody that does that, that refuses to stand on their own. Like you said, you live through other people, whether it's you live through their decision choices, you live through their consequences, instead of making your own choices and living with it, and dealing with the consequences, you rather step back and wait and watch and see what comes about before you decide, if you ever decide to pursue anything of your own bearing. Like,
Right.
yeah, it's common. It's very common. That's like I said, it's what peer pressure is about, bullying, and it's not necessarily the person being bullied; it's the person doing the bullying. You know, a lot of times it's people that are something that we are not. You know, and that we fail or we fear to attempt to try to be a lot of times. You know, and I thought about that. And the crazy thing, I didn't even think about. I looked at these questions, these subjects the other day when you sent them, but you know, some reason I thought about it this morning. Um, you really don't decide to start becoming a subject matter expert in your life until you realize you are who you are, being the person that you are going to be in the future. When you realize that, when you decide who you're going to be, and you allow yourself to be what you're going to be. And I realized that this morning. And I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad we are talking about this, because I realized the person that I am now. I was a much younger, not as mature person at that time in say middle school, going into high school. So, you know, it just took time for me to grow into it, you know, understand what, you know, understand who I was, you know, and like I said, become the subject matter expert of myself, you know, and like I said, and sometimes we forget about that. Oftentimes we lose ourselves and other people, other lives. Like I said, we do that often, and I've often thought about a lot of decisions that I've made that's gotten me to where I'm at now, as opposed to others that could have led me not necessarily to a better life. You know what I'm saying? It could have been, you know, worst case scenarios, you know, other than being here.
You know, just a side note, you know, it's funny that you bring that up because a lot of times we always say, if I made this decision, it's where I'll be. When in reality, you don't know.
You really don't, yeah.
A lot of people think that if they would have made a right instead of left, their life would be better. It actually may be worse
True.
because we don't know the outcome of that. We're just looking
Right.
at hindsight.
Right.
And then I think that's a lot of the times where we get the issue. Hindsight gives us the ability or affords us the ability to say, yeah, if I would have went this way, if I would have saved this much money, well, who's to say that you would have still turned out differently?
Right.
Maybe it
Or
turned
even
out
better.
worse.
Right.
So, you know, I'm glad you brought that up.
And like I said, in my case, it's like if I like running in certain circles that I ran in, if I did everything, like you said, the peer pressure, if I did everything that a lot of people that I knew or that I was running with, they were into, I'm pretty sure I'd have been close to or in the same boat as they are now, you know. And like I said, a lot of them are not, they're not happy with what they got going on before them in their life, you know. And like I said, it's all the decisions and the consequences that come with them, you know, bad choices, bad moods, bad days, you know, any combinations or a single dose of those can drive, you know, change your life in many ways.
So do you think we don't take our lives as serious as we should? That's why, you know, you see people willing to roll the dice on certain things.
Yeah. Because it's like I said, we don't do it until it's too late, in a sense. Not to say it's too late, like, oh, no, once we realize that, damn, I could take this time to done A, B, and C, you know, but you also got to look at what you've accomplished during them times as well, you know. Well, yeah, I could have gone to college, but, you know, what's to say that you took the time to start a family and a business, you know, or you went to college, but it's not something you really wanted to do. It's just you got your degree, but you didn't know what to do with yourself. You thought you wasted your time and your money or somebody else's money for you to go to college. I mean, you know, people aspire to be great things in life, you know, and sometimes it don't require you to go to college. You know, like I said, some people say you go to college to find yourself. Maybe you find yourself wasn't to be in college. It was supposed to be traveling the world for a year or two, you know, join a Peace Corps, you know, give back to the community, become a police officer. excuse me, a fireman, you know, things you can always aspire, you know, like I said, things that even though you get paid to do it, it's not necessarily a job, you know, you enjoy
Right.
something you enjoy doing.
I'm glad you brought that up because I'm noticing, especially in the career job that I have, and able to talk to people on that level, a lot of people actually they don't do what they want to do.
Oh,
They do whatever was mentioned to them to do, or what
yeah,
somebody felt like they should do. You
right.
know, in probably all communities, but you know, in the Black community, you know, if you're a Black male, you speak proper, and
We
they
accept,
they say you should be a pastor, which is
no,
why we got a lot of pastors out there who are doing some dirt.
no.
We'll get on that right now.
Somebody approached me like that one time too. They were crazy. No,
See, exactly, but see, that's the thing. But then
man.
you have people who
Yes,
feed
yes,
into
yes, yes,
that.
sir. And the thing about it is, things like that. Let's not. But just to jump off real quick, when it comes to stuff like that, you know if you're called to do that.
Right.
You know you're called. But that was never my calling. So I don't ever. Not that I say it's a bad thing. It's just when it comes to deciding to go down that path just because you feel you can do it. When it comes to that, it's supposed to you being called to it. It can go many ways, and a lot of them is awry. So, um, but yeah, that's true. Like you said, and a lot of people, it's not like you're not given options, you're given choices. You know,
Right.
hey, you can be this or you can be that, but not knowing that, hey, you have the option to go this route and you can be this, or you can be this as well, or you can be this as well. You know, like I said, options and choices are two different things, you know. And
Yeah.
you know, it's like I said, with a lot of times when you walk in these people's office, when you said when you get recruited to do something, you put, hey, you could be the cashier or you could be the cook. You know, you're not giving option. Oh, well, you could be the bus boy, you could be the manager, you could be what you call the person that escorts the people at
The host or hostess.
the host or hostess, you know, like I said, the chef, you know, whatever. You know, or a manager, shift manager, whatever. No, you option being the cook, you know, or the waiter. You
I
know,
agree. And you know, and what you know, I took a course, and the professor of the course, she called the COVID-19 the Great Migration.
right.
And she said you've seen a lot of people who quit their jobs, resign from their jobs, and she said what you found was a lot of people were happy.
They found themselves. They discovered who they really were.
So when it came time, and that's where you know being the subject matter expert of your life is key, because you got to think some of these people spent 10 to 20 plus years in a situation that they really didn't want to be
Right. At a
in.
job,
And
you know,
yeah,
yeah, marriage or whatever. Right.
and
True.
it's like you just wake up one day and you're like, you know what? I didn't want to be here. And that's an issue because you knew that from probably 10 years early, but you did it because you didn't want to accept certain things about yourself. And I think that that's an issue a lot of people have, that they don't want to accept certain things about themselves in these situations. Like some people, honestly, and I believe this wholeheartedly, and I hope this nobody takes offense to this, but there are some people who just want to be happy.
True. But you know,
That
that starts
means,
within though.
right, it does start within, but
Right.
that means that they're content with maybe not having the high plus job, maybe not having everything that everybody else has. They just want to be happy, content in a basic modern life. But because of how things are and how people maneuver and how you surround yourself with certain people, which is what we're going to talk about after this, they get caught up in everything and they get overwhelmed because that's not who they truly are.
Okay. Very true.
And I think that happens a lot. And a lot of
But
people just want to be happy. They just don't want.
but it's one of them things, it's like you said, for instance, for the job. It's like after you realize that it doesn't bring you any fulfillment, you done been there so long, like you said, you're afraid to move on. You're afraid to try something different or apply for another position. The job is like, damn, this pays pretty good. I really don't like this job, but hey, there's a position at this other company that I really might be interested in, but what if I don't get the job? You know, and then when they find out I applied, it's a our competition, and they find out and I don't get the job, they'll fire me. You know, you never know the scenarios, but
Right.
yeah, people often, like you said, 2019, no, 2020 was the year that you discovered a lot about yourself if you did not pay attention. Yes, you're so true. You know, whether you were happy in your situation, whether you found your calling, or you knew whatever it is you weren't a part of, you know, occupation wise or whatever, was not your calling. You know,
Right.
you decided, hey, either you're gonna stay in or step out and do something else. So,
And the sad part about it is it took being removed from stuff to give you the opportunity to find who you are. So
it's
that's,
true.
I guess you could say, the back half of this conversation is having those people around you who can help nurture you to be who you're supposed to be and not who they want you to be. Do you think that plays into how you maneuver in life as far as
It does.
accomplishments and everything?
Because a lot of times we try to play a scenario in our head to where it matters what people are going to think of us if we decide to do certain things, or we done certain things, or we say or we speak upon certain things, or we have yet to speak on certain things. We always allow to influence our decisions and what we do and how we move, how we dress, how we eat, and how we think. You know, not knowing that, hey, as long as they feel that you're happy with who you are, a lot of times, because a lot of people, they play upon how you feel about yourself. A lot of people prey on that. And I don't mean pray on it like, hey, we going on bending knees, like, hey, pray on you as you about to get feasted on and they about to make a meal out of you. Pray. A lot of people prey on that. You know, they prey on your insecurities, they prey on your weaknesses, they prey on, some of you prey on your strengths as well to make the weaknesses. And when you got people around you like that, it becomes toxic, you know. Because there's people out there, like you said, there's people that are givers, there's people that are takers, you know, and there are people that are, people are predominantly either givers or takers, and some people that, it varies, but it's very rare in between. And you got people that will take advantage of, you got takers that take advantage of givers all the time. And you got people that are willing to take that, prey on other takers. So, but I mean, to be a part of a predatory relationship, whether it's, friends or an associate, as you say, or your wife, girlfriend, husband, boyfriend, whatever. Yeah. That speaks volumes. You gotta have to keep the person around. Because go ahead. No, go ahead.
No. I mean, you brought up some great points. And one of the things you use, a term that is having been used a lot, is associate. Do you think that we're so quick to indoctrinate people into our lives that we don't vet them to how they fit in our lives?
You should. Yeah, you true. It's very true. A lot of us do that. Not everybody.
Because, and I think we talked about this before. Every relationship is a give and take relationship.
True. We have spoken about it.
You, not saying I'm adding you into my life because I want something from you. However, you're in my life for a purpose.
Right.
And do you think that that's how we should view people now in our lives? Like, what is your purpose in my life? Instead of you just being in my life.
True.
Like, there should be a purpose for you in my life.
I like that. Yeah. But in a sense, when you say a purpose, there's something that they're fulfilling in your path and vice versa. Right. And it's not something that you're actively looking for. It's just something in the back of your mind talking to you. Right. It's not that you're something you're physically looking for, like, something financial, something. You never know, because it's something that you're supposed to take from that relationship that's going to apply to you, that's going to help you, whether it's negative or positive. but but the thing is, it's not all of the time. And I think that's the thing we keep getting twisted. Like always because some people are meant to just be in your life briefly and then move
Right.
on. Some of us are meant to be in your life forever. Some of those people that were in your life from various times disappear, maybe to return again and never to be seen again in your life. But the thing is, it's something that we shouldn't be actively searching for, in a case.
So I'm about to throw this out there because I think this is it could fit the scenario. Do you think you should do a yearly audit of the people around you to see?
We spoke about this before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? Because the thing is this. If I could turn around and not talk to you for 3 months and turn around and call you and then turn and call you, let's say, hey, we haven't spoken for 3 months, I turn around and call you and pick up like we spoke yesterday. Why not keep you around? Now, if it's something like every time see if I haven't called you for 3 months, but it seems like every time we call, it's like I'm trying to get to know you again. Maybe it's time to move on. Maybe, like I said, you weren't a friend, you were an associate.
Right.
Maybe this wasn't the time for you to be a friend or be, close. Because you said if it's always a connect, like I said, because you'll sense a connection, but you're trying to figure out what the connection is going to bring you to, So, and that's what I mean. It's not thinking, oh, well, damn. Because some people, well, damn, you're here for a reason, but I'm trying to figure out why.
Yeah.
Well, no, you're not supposed. Yeah, you're not supposed to outright consciously know. You subconsciously try to figure it out, but when the time comes, the purpose is sought. Because that person is still with you once you figured it out, or they're along with you on that path when you do figure it out, because you found out together.
Right.
And it's not, we found this $1 million together type deal. No, it's like, okay, something comes where something comes along to where they're there for you at that moment, or they're there to witness a moment, or vice versa. It's their moment and you were meant, you know what I mean? That's the thing. So you don't, like I said, you don't always, you're not going to know. And it's not for us to actively find out. It's a subconscious thing, which I think it's a more beautiful thing, because we sit there and we actively figure out why, things happen. You're not living, in a sense, because sometimes we should just get out there and just do. And I think we don't do that. We're not allowing ourselves to do that much often as we should.
You know what? I like that. That's a good way of shifting gears. Do you believe that we live in cages, even though we say we're the freest we ever been? We do what we want to do. Do you think we still live in the cage of I'm not going to do it if it really puts me outside of that box?
I think we do it more now because what's going on in the world. I think a lot of things that happen in the world because we live more in it, regardless of what people may think. I think we come in we're in a more restrained atmosphere at time than we ever have been before. Because you really think about it, because you really can't you really can't think and speak freely without somebody commenting, somebody want to disallow your right to be human, even much less American, in a sense. These are much more restrained times. You can't comment, you can't joke, you can't speak upon anything without offending anybody, whether it's based on the sex, the gender, sex, orientation, sexual orientation, religion, of course, race, nationality, whatever, it's not a point where you can't, like you said, live freely as you think you are. Even though we speak it, we're not living it as much. Like you said, we're much more caged and separated from one another to the point where you okay, so you're a Black, heterosexual, Christian, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting at? Tall,
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
You know, that to the point. And I can't allow you to be a white Christian, heterosexual, homosexual, heteros, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's to the point, like I said, we can't allow you to be whatever it is you actually want to be without you stepping on toes, tiptoeing around tiptoeing around each other, whole humming about certain things. Because you can't, like I said, you can't speak your mind. You can't really live your life out loud like you want to, or like you think you should, as you could maybe 10 years ago. Because you know why? There's not as many people are paying attention back then, or that specifically to those things, to look for something to comment, speak, point fingers at, as they would nowadays.
You know what? I would have disagreed with you 4 days ago, but honestly, not only do I agree with you, but I want to ask you this question. Do you think true freedom is actually slavery? Because we are at a point now where we feel like we're so free that we can knock anybody for doing anything, that if you go against me, then I'm against you.
Right. Yeah.
Or I'm gonna do this to keep you. If you don't wear this, like we're so, social media has put us in a fear state.
I like that. Yeah.
Where I think our freedom has become our slavery, because we have to be so correct with everything.
Right.
We have to know it. Like I told people, I used to tell people all the time, I don't care if you're racist. I don't care. What I care about is how you use that racism towards me. That's the deal.
Yeah, exactly.
And I always tell people, you could be racist, you can hate what you want to hate, but when you allow that to keep me from achieving my life goals, then that's when I have an issue. And I think we have gotten to a point in life where we're so free that we're scared to move without thinking, am I going to offend someone?
It's sort of looking like this. It rains outside. When you go outside, or it's like this, or you standing in the field while it rains. After it starts raining, what do you hear? All these frogs.
Yep.
But you don't want to step on the frogs. Why? Because you value your life. But you know you got to get home, because you know you got to be home in 15 minutes for dinner. So what do? You want to get home and eat, and you can't be late. At the same time, you don't want to step on any frogs, because you literally can't see them, you know, because it's starting to get dark now. Keep in mind, it's starting to get dark.
Right.
Late in the evening. It's just finished raining. You standing in this field. So what do? You stand there and hopefully wait till the frogs say, hey, go ahead and pass and clear a path for you to go home. Or you start stepping your way home and not concern yourself about the frogs. You try to get home in time for dinner. Look at it that way.
I like that, because truth of the matter is we find ourselves either standing still or we're tiptoeing through there, really doing more damage than anything.
Right.
You know what Mythbusters say, you know, if you actually get wetter when you run in the rain instead of walking in the rain.
They're very true. That's even a better one.
So you find yourself, when you're trying to maneuver around people, you find yourself actually digging more ditches than if you just say, hey, this is who I am, this is why I am, and hey, if you don't like it, I get it.
And you're saying, like I said, there's nothing wrong with expressing yourself, you know, but there's a certain way you go about expressing yourself.
I actually have a question about that. What is expressing yourself? Because what we're seeing is,
okay,
and
but it's not what it used to be.
There's two questions to this. What we're seeing is people who say they express themselves, but they all express themselves in the same manner.
But you know what it is nowadays? They do it maliciously and sometimes they want to provoke a certain action.
Okay, so which makes sense why they all look the same as when they express themselves.
Right. You think about it, because you think about it. I can tell there's certain ways that, let's say I can tell you're gay. I can acknowledge that you're gay without you having sometimes it's like us being black. You can look at us and say that we're black, but you don't need us to exaggerate certain stereotypes. In a sense, you know?
Yes.
accentuating, let's say not exaggerate, accentuate certain
Yes, I
stereotypes that they
agree
have about us,
100%.
you know, and that's what I mean. Because now we do it more than ever, but we get upset, get offended when people speak about them. But we go out our way sometimes to accentuate those stereotypes.
You know,
Why?
it's funny.
Huh?
Yeah. No. I was about to say it's funny because me and you had talked about the comedian, Jermichael Carmichael, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
get your name.
we was like, what was the point of you telling us you're gay? I don't care. And it's like after that, he felt the need to go after Dave Chappelle. Like
Right.
you didn't do it before you announced it, but now you feel compelled to do it. And that's what I see. And it's not just with the homosexual community. It's just in general. I see people who I'm expressing
Literally go out their way. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right. They go. Every guy who wants to express himself go out their way to make you feel uncomfortable, as if
Right.
you have to accept me.
Which is, and like I said before, the First Amendment. Am I correct?
First Amendment is to the First Amendment is the right to speech. Yes.
Right. Which is you can speak, live how you either way. Those amendments, the Bills of Rights were put together for you to allow you to be yourself at the same time, infringing upon others to do the same. And I think, like I said, we're going against that. We're being very unconstitutional in the way we're living nowadays. Like I said, people, and like I said, I give it up to Mr. Hood. If he were alive today, or if he still may be alive today, if he's out there, you know, by all means, I shot you out. But that was the thing he always expressed. It's like I said, these things were put together in order for, you know, he said, even though it wasn't for the Black people, the slaves at the time, whoever, or the women, it's for those others, those of us, you know, that could afford to do so, live your life in such a way it doesn't infringe upon others to do the same, you know.
And I like that term, fringe upon, because I guess you could say I have an old school mentality of, I don't need to know what goes on in your house.
And basically that's basically what it is, more or less.
You have the freedom to do what you want in your house, as long as it doesn't involve killing kids and all the other wild stuff. But what we're seeing is I have to invite you into my home. You got to know I sleep around. You got to know I like this. You got to know this. I'm just gonna show up one day and just look crazy. And I'm like, oh, you really want me to accept this because of what you interpret as your First Amendment right?
Yeah.
And it's just, it goes back to knowing yourself.
True.
And I do believe a lot of people right now are not themselves. They are just doing stuff just to be doing it because
they're not happy. You think about it. A lot of pretenders out there.
I agree with you. I mean, I think they do so much busting of these so-called Instagram people who are just living out of their cars, who are just living horrible. You know, it's getting to the point now that I do honestly believe, and I'm using the word slavery a lot, but I do believe social media is slavery. If you know how to handle it.
A lot of people are being enslaved by social media. You're right. A lot of people, they'll say they're just to the point now, it's a vice, in a sense, you know, and you think about it, come on. How many times do you go, anybody's in office, your office, places that you've been, somebody's on the phone, not on the phone talking, not on the phone texting. They're looking at TikTok. Yeah, TikTok, they're looking at Instagram, Twitter, whatever, Facebook, you know. And that's the thing, man. We become so, we as the people as a whole in the world, we become enslaved to the things that keeps us apart. It's a shame you fall slave to something that, that really has no emotions, no heartbeat, but it steadily takes victims day by day.
It's funny that you brought up that it has no heartbeat, no soul, no anything.
I forgot to say soul. Yeah.
Do you think that that's what has prompted people to actually act like they have no souls because they already are zoned out because
Because they're putting it into that device, into that thing. You think about it. Like I said, people live out loud through social media nowadays. Think about it. The girl who recorded the bad baby dad, like we spoke about, because he brought his child, something to eat. Now her thing was, and mind you, just her excuse was, her reason was because when they were together, he was bringing all the kids something to eat.
Yeah.
Okay, but no longer together. So if he chooses to bring just his kids something to eat, he has the right to do that. Just like if y'all were together, he chose to take just his kid out to eat, it's his kid.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Engagement.
Huh?
Rules of engagement.
Right. But like I said, we bear our souls, our lives into something that has neither a life, only what we put into it, our souls, what we pour into it, and our heartbeat. Like I said, we're pumping it, like we giving it. We're come on, think about it. It started all with what MySpace, maybe.
MySpace, yes.
MySpace, Black Planet, Black People Meet. Come on. Yeah, come on, man.
Black Planet has so much potential, man.
It did. It really did. But the thing about it, like I said, there's no life in it. We just took the soul in it. Now it's Facebook, Instagram, and God knows what else to come.
And it's funny that you say we don't know what else to come, but what we're seeing is a transition to my life only exists on camera.
It's true.
And do you believe that that's the way people live now? It's the fact that, look, if it doesn't happen on camera, I have done nothing.
It's true. I can see that. Because now everybody believes in celebrityism, if it's a thing. Maybe I mentioned the word celebrityism. Everybody wants.
Word.
Huh?
I like that, celebrityism.
Yeah, celebrityism. Because everybody feels that, you live in that life, like you said, in front of the camera. If it's not going on, if it didn't happen in front of the camera, then it didn't happen at all. Or nobody to witness it. But, hey, I want everybody to witness what I dealt with, Now, if it's something like, hey, you want somebody, something that you think will change lives, that's cool. Everybody can post a quote, but I think too many people post quotes, Bible verses, I'm saying don't stop. I'm not saying don't stop. I said that, but I think a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people try to live a way they feel they should live through that thing, that device in their hand.
Let's talk about it. Try to live the way. So what you're saying, and I'm actually on board with this statement. So I'll word it this way. I agree. I believe that social media has become our avatar, and that's how we want to.
Okay, I like that.
So we make that, we put everything that we feel who we should be into that, and it's not necessarily showing reality.
True. I got you. Yeah, I'll go with that. I give you that.
There are people right now who are on social media that are hiding multiple lives. They're hiding multiple demons, or they're perpetuating that they're on what people call.
Well, let y'all know.
And they don't live that life.
Let you know now. I got 10 wives out there.
I'm jealous.
Be jealous. Hate. 10 wives, 20 kids.
Woo! I'm not jealous about that part. No, 10 wives, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
But we do, you see that a lot. Like, back in the day, we used to say, people ain't living their raps. But now you really realize that people ain't living their life.
No, they're not. No, it's very true. Because like I said, we stay stuck. I've heard of people that lost their job because they got a little bit of notoriety on social media, and they quit doing their work. Every time you looked up, It's all in the video. All in the videos. Yeah. Anytime I look up, they'll post themselves in the workplace. And it was just like, okay, do you ever go to work? You know? And the thing, like I said, this person was a very likable person. Very likable person. And like you said, instead of working their job, they were working Facebook. You know?
Right.
So
And you know, it's funny because we hear all these times of, oh, you can make all this money, this and third. And what I have come to realize, and I tell people this, it's just like anything else in business. You look, the people who are making any type of money off this, you're doing it at a rapid pace that you may not have or can be afforded at this point in juncture in your life.
true.
Also, you don't know what they sacrificed to get to that point.
True.
We've seen marriages ruined over couple who start out doing their own little couple stuff, and next thing you know, they're divorced. You know, you see people like Derek Jackson, for example, and you know, I don't like to call by name, but his situation, I didn't even know the man was married when his stuff came out. Like he never showed anything about being married. They come to find out he married and cheated. But yeah, you online telling everybody that they should get a man like you. So you build up this persona.
But see, he was advertising himself like that though. Think about it. I'm a handsome, black, all-knowing man, knowledgeable, very knowledgeable about women's feelings, being in touch with their feelings and their thoughts, you know, and their hearts and their minds. And guess what he got at? Okay. You know, that's the thing too. What you, like you said, what they put into the device is always a thing of what they trying to get out of it. And he got exactly what he wanted out of it, regardless of what he may say, you know. And like you said, what was he investing? What were you giving up? What was he investing into it to get whatever he wanted out of it? He invested his marriage into it, you know, and not to get a positive return. It was a negative return of what he got, but still, he got what he wanted out of it, you know. So like you said, people don't, and like I said, the thing about getting rich off it, it requires what you want to, it requires whatever you're willing to invest into it, what she's gonna get out of it, you know.
I mean, we even look at the Paul brothers, and they sold their soul to social media. I mean, they'll do anything now, and that's crazy. You're starting to see people who are willing to do anything now just for a hot take, and it's like, are you really that person? And then you find out that not only they're not those people, but they're just trying to get these hot takes, but this lives forever.
Oh, true.
As long as there's a signal, it lives forever.
It doesn't go anywhere. Because you know what's that also? Somebody downloaded it somewhere for later viewing. You know, you never know what happened. And like I said, it's if you put it on YouTube, more likely it's in a cloud somewhere in YouTube. Exactly. It's in a giant hard drive sitting in Silicon Valley.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll slow it down, and I want to ask this question because I actually talked about this earlier on Instagram. I want to get your thoughts. What's the proper way of healing?
The proper
way of healing. Okay. And the reason why I think it ties into this is because I don't think that there's one way to heal. I think it's based on who you are. Because you hear a lot of people say, especially when it's dealing with relationships, they're like, you know, you need to go tell that person how you feel.
No.
This, that, and the third. And I'm the type of person, I'm like, no, because if you don't get the response that you want, what is that going to do?
Exactly. You'll get your feel. Your face really get broken up. You really gonna be hurt. And that's the thing too. Now, and that's the thing. Closure, healing, whatever you want to call it. The thing is this. It should never be about another person when it comes to healing. It should always be about you. It should involve another person. You know, because like you said, what is interacting with that person is going to do to make you feel better? You know, because it does, like you said, if you don't get the result that you're expecting, like, oh, I'm sorry, and tears, and They get down on their knees and beg for your forgiveness. Them jokers will turn around and laugh at you and talk about, okay, anyway, keep it moving. Turn it back. What you doing? You probably would put a gun to their head, gun to your head, their head, or whatever, or stab them. You never know. Like I said, first of all, start with yourself. Start within and end with yourself. Not end yourself, but end with yourself feeling some kind of way that you're not feeling like that you're in a deficit of anything, and that's the thing. Because keep in mind, you got involved in that situation for a purpose. Did you accomplish that purpose, or you did not accomplish that purpose? Keep them, like I said, and people keep it. People are, and also another thing always been said. I think it might be in the Bible. People are in your life for a season. Some seasons are long, some seasons are short. But they weren't the only person on the planet at the time when things happen the way they did in that manner. Life goes on. Life doesn't end with that person leaving your life or leaving that role in your life. You should always push forward, regardless of how much it's going to hurt, how heavy the burden may feel. You should always be pushing forward, looking forward. You're going to look down a little bit, but eventually you got to hold your head up to see where you're going, because you don't want to be going down the wrong path, alcohol, drugs, sex, whatever, you don't, like I said, you don't want to lean on vices in order to get over somebody. Like I said, talk to somebody, a professional, not somebody that it could be somebody you don't know, but professional a lot of times will help because it'll give you the tools to cope. If you feel you can't cope emotionally and mentally, always keep that in mind.
I agree with you. And I always say, if proper healing comes from two places. It comes from understanding your role in it and forgiving yourself.
Right.
A lot of times we sit up here and we have this notion like, I didn't do nothing wrong. Well, then you're lying. You're not ready to have that conversation, because no matter how you feel it played out, you played a part in it. A lot of times we don't realize we're the enablers in a lot of situations.
Oh, yeah.
That we actually enable situations to happen the way that they play out. And then we want to hide our hand when we actually subconsciously moved it that way. So we have to accept our responsibility in all situations and also forgive ourselves. And I think forgiving yourself is very important.
True.
I think a lot of times that's why you have people who want to go off on people that they claim did them wrong, or curse out their former employer and everything. It's like, well, forgive yourself, let it go. That's why God, in the Bible it states that, you shouldn't carry the burdens, because those burdens are heavy. Lay them at his feet. And there's a reason for that, because if you're carrying that stuff around, how you maneuver, you're going bound to make the same mistakes, or you're going to shorten your life as far as how you enjoy it, because you're going to keep it around. So you have to let it go. And I believe the main ways to let it go is, number one, accepting your fault in it. And number two, forgiving yourself.
Okay. And another thing, keep this in mind. I know everybody thinks, remember the song. Remember Erykah Badu song, Bag Lady?
Yes.
That's what it was about. Got all this stuff with you. You carry too much stuff. Men can, to the point men can see it, they can start running the other way. You gotta let some of that go. And that's, like I said, that applies to men and women. Like I said, we don't want that. Like I said, your burden, the burdens of that relationship is baggage, by all means, and like you said, if you try to address the person that you had that situation with, there's gonna be some more burden on you because it didn't go the way you wanted it to go, the way you were expecting it to go.
No, you're right. And it's funny you brought it up that way, because truth is, there are people who feel like when they go to a person that once they, because I always say I'm the type of person, if you want to have that conversation with me, cool. But let's have the conversation where whatever you think you can lay at my feet, I can lay at your feet. So it could be a true conversation. A lot of times it turns into people laying stuff at your feet. And it could be two things. I always say it's two things. And with men, mostly it's two things. We done forgot about it and moved on. So it doesn't bother us no more. Or number two, we just throw our hands up and be like, just blame us for anything.
Mhm.
And I think it's those two things when it comes to men, to be honest with you, because what a woman say, you just act like you don't care, but I'm over it. Or why you always saying it's your fault? Because you keep coming at me like it's my fault, so I'm just gonna throw my hands up.
Yeah, accept that burden. Yeah, like so
Yeah.
nobody wants to, and that's another thing we don't do. And that's the thing. Like we said, let it go, let the baggage go, because nobody. And that's the thing. I think I've told people a few times. You don't want to carry the baggage from marriages, relationships into another. Because you know why? When you do that, somebody's gonna look at this bag and say, "Hey, either you let that baggage go, or I'm gonna let you go. Choice is yours." You know. But but I have to decide before. If I decide before you, no, it's not gonna go where you want to go. And people gonna say, "Oh, well, no, you should, if you love." No, stop. Because my thing is this: you love somebody enough, you start carrying their baggage with them. Guess what? You start accumulating along with them as well, dealing with them. More baggage.
And the only thing I would add to that, because I like that way that was said, is ladies, it is not a man's responsibility to fix your heart. Men, it is not a woman's responsibility to fix your heart. You are supposed to come with your heart fixed.
Right.
That is
Exactly.
an impossible job. And you end that person up for failure.
But the only thing it takes is time, though, and it's not always going to heal 100%. Just like if any injury you got, it's not going to heal 100% if you constantly heal it. You're always breaking it. You know, you always break your heart. It's always going to 100% heal. Because why? You didn't take the time to do the things for it to heal a lot, to heal to where you can function again. Because the thing is this: you step into a relationship, you can't take another man or woman's word, regardless of how long you know them or how well you know them. But your first thing is say, well, because of this, that, and the other before you don't need to be involved. Like I said, you don't need that person in your life. You know, and like I said, that's not necessarily a relationship. It's just, I mean, relationships between, significant others. It's just like any friendships too. Got people say, we had friends, and because of this, and okay, then this should never been your friend from the get-go. So I'm pretty sure whatever they did to disconnect you from this time, they've done things a few times before that, and you let it go. You just got fed up and cut them off.
Exactly. So, it wasn't benefiting you anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Was it benefit you, or you weren't benefiting them?
So true, so true. So we'll go ahead and wind it down, man. So we shooting one tomorrow?
Sure.
All right. You got anything you want to leave the people?
No, man. Like I always say, excuse me. Share, subscribe, check us out, comment, the whole deal. Like I said, we'll be at it again tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe we do it live. I don't know. Let's see. See how he feels and see if he feels up to it.
Yeah, no problem. Yes, please subscribe. We thank you for watching the videos. We see that videos are going out. We thank you for the support. And hey, like always, we're nothing without y'all, but we live outside of these 4 screens. You be blessed.